What up? It's your boy, Incredible Man. Yes, I'm back at it again, and I just watched Black Clover episode 105, and this is my discussion slash review, man. And it was absolutely wonderful, man. If you're not a fan of the Black Bulls and one of the other Magic Night squads is your go-to night squad, even though we like it's focused around the Black Bulls, but one of the other Magic Night squads is your go-to squad, you gotta admit this episode really sold you on the Black Bulls, man, because I love the Black Bulls and Luck is my favorite, but I love having the interactions with the Black Bulls because it means so much because each and every one of them been through something, man. They've all had a past and Yami saved them from their past or their turmoil, and they've come together as a family and as a Magic Night squad, and they're absolutely wonderful, man. And that's from Yummy all the way down to Asta, man. It is absolutely wonderful, and I love every character of the Black Bulls, man. It's such a wonderful, wonderful ragtag team, and they showcase that in situations like what's going on now, and it's so wonderful that they do so, man. This episode really wasn't a lot going on because I read the manga, so I knew, but there really wasn't a lot going on. This episode was more so just to catch everybody up on everything that's actually going down in the Clover Kingdom. So this week's episode picked up right after last week's episode, where we're having Asta, Magna, and Vanessa deal with Luck, aka what's the elf's name? Oh, he said his name too. I can't remember. Anyway, we're dealing with the elf that's trapped in Luck's inside of Luck's body, and they were still trying to save Luck. So then we get that whole situation still taking place, and this time we seem like we're inside of Luck's, just like inside of his body, and like with his consciousness. And at this point, he's a little kid, and he's running toward his mom, and we know that his mom treated him some sort of way from the flashbacks and stuff that we saw when they were dealing on Luck's past. And we know that kind of, he was always a little weird in his mom's eyes, but we just know he likes competition. He's Goku. Let's just be real. That's exactly what it is. Goku loves competition, and no one bags and rags on Goku. I mean, Vegeta calls him crazy, and Piccolo also, for every time he turn around he wants to pick a fight. But that's what Luck is, man. He's just a young Goku, man, and he just loves fighting. That's all it is. I mean, that's his thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that kind of made him seem weird in his mom's eyes, because that, and every time something would happen to him, he kept a smile on his face. So his mom thought something was wrong with him, and that's the version of his mom that he saw inside his consciousness, was the one that thought something was wrong with him. And he was dealing with a whole bunch of feelings and everything going on. And then Asta, Magna, and Luck finally broke through with Asta's new sword, and they kind of freed the spell that was kind of taking over his body. And Luck heard them again, and he was running towards them, and he changed and he became his normal self, and he turned back to look at his mom, and we can actually see his mom's face. Like, we saw her eyes, her smile, and everything. And we didn't even see that when, like, they dug into his past, like when we were first introduced to Luck and was wondering why he was the person he is. They actually showed that a good version of his mom this time, and that was nice. And then we also found out that, like, I knew, but we also found out, for anime only watchers, that the elves aren't really bad people. It's the spell that's making them twisted and do all these evil things. So now that that's out of the way, and they saved Luck, we get to the part to where I absolutely enjoyed it. We have Magna hugging Luck, man, and he was like, "It's okay, you're back." And Luck just sheds and balls tears, man. He was like a water fountain, man. It was just dripping water, and that's how you could tell it was such an emotional thing, because Luck was crying so hard, and Magna was like, "I got you, man." It was like, if you're not a fan of the Black Bulls, that's what I'm saying, man. This episode had to make you a fan of the Black Bulls. So then they start to tell Luck everything that's going on. Well, Ashley explains everything to Vanessa, Magna, and Luck, and then they make their way to the base. And after reading the manga, I knew this part was coming, and I was so excited to see it because I love Henry as well, and we got to see Henry again. So we get to the base, and they're all out of magic, and Asta doesn't have any magic, so Luck has to use his remaining magic to get them to the base, because he has some magic, but like he's kind of like a little fluctuated because he still has some of the residing magic of the elf that was in his body. He knows how it felt and how they moved with the mana, so he can activate his magic. So they get to the base, and then we come in contact with the base, and they're looking at what happened to the base. Are you look at this? So then they get there, and they start to talk to Gray and Gordon and Henry, and they're not explaining nothing. They're like, no. So I love Henry, man. So then we're having them trying to explain everything, and Magna and Luck and Vanessa is looking like, what? And Magna's like, what is going on? Nobody can understand anything you guys are saying. And like, who is this guy that's just sitting back there? So he walks closer to Henry, and next day, he's trading magic from him. And then Asta comes right up and starts hugging Henry. It was like, this is Henry Senpai. He was here before any of us. So like towards the end of this episode, man, like when we got to the base, it got real funny, man. Like, but you can tell like the whole other part was super serious, but then when we got here, it got really funny, and they were just having a good time going back and forth. And then no one could understand what they were talking about, but Asta understood, and that was the great part of this episode. Asta, so Ghost got turned into an elf. He's headed to the capital. Well, the fact that you guys are alive is that he's still in control of some of his body parts. They were just mumbling and everything, and I love that. And we also got to see the monsters that the beast that Yami keeps locked up in the cage that Asta has to go feed all the time. So it was nice seeing them. I actually had really forgot about them. I mean, it's been a while. I even read it in the manga, and I forgot about them then. So like, I mean, seeing them again in the anime was a nice reminder. I actually forgot about them. But then we have this episode. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Gordon, because normally you can never really understand what Gordon's saying. I mean, they'd have their subtitles at the bottom, but it was like, yes, I love you, you're my best friend, and I love you. So, but in today's episode, he actually spoke loud enough where you can hear everything he was saying, and I enjoyed that. And then we have Charmy come up, and she got like some sauce on her face, but it's like almost in the shape of like the elf logo and stuff. And everyone, is Charmy Senpai an elf? No, she's not. But I mean, it was so funny to see who destroyed my garden. So yeah, man, it was nice and it was fun to have this whole interaction with the Black Bulls, and then Charmy started to feed them, and they all started to recover their magic. And Asta was like, maybe eating will give me magic. And she was like, no, if 0 is 0, then you get 0. And then he was like, that's fine. I'm just gonna eat my pain away. So it was a fun episode towards the end, after we had dealt with so much seriousness last episode in this at the beginning of this episode. So the ending was a little more hilarious, and then everyone's recovering the magic. Henry recovers his, and he puts the base back together, and everybody's looking like, what in the world is this? And it was like, oh, that's so cool. So it was fun to see that. And then they're making their way to the capital, man, to put on the most wonderful show, because I read the manga and I know what's coming. So they're headed to the capital, man, and that's all that happened this episode. It was just a nice refresher for the other members of the Black Bulls that didn't know what was going on. So that's all it was. But it was a very fun episode, and I love seeing the seriousness between Magna, Asta, Luck, and Vanessa, and that was so nice. And like I told you guys, I love the Black Bulls, and they're my favorite Magic Knight squad. And seeing them this episode with the comedy and the seriousness just pushed that along so much further, because each member has something to bring to the table, and they all had a tragic past, but Yami saved them, and they came together to be a family, man. And I love that. This is your boy, Nick Incredible, man. Don't forget to smash that like button until you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe. But only if you really want to, man. And remember that anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life, man. Peace out.